Hello, everyone, and I'm doing a mini live for you today. It's not going to be as long as half an hour, like some of my lives which I've done previously, or I say my very first one, which was a week ago. So I'm sitting outside in a park. So for those of you who follow me on TikTok, you know that on a daily basis, I go for my walk in the Great Park, and isn't it wonderful? And if I point the camera towards that direction, that's where Windsor Castle is. Although you probably can't see it, that clearly here. So I wanted to introduce my new Substack, which I launched recently, which is the Next Chapter Experiments. And what inspired me to do this mini live is I sent a message to one of my friends who I'm collaborating on a little project, and I was talking about the next chapter experiment and how I feel, a little bit vulnerable with it because I'm sharing some insights in terms of my life. So currently, I have the Naked Diaries or the Naked Series newsletter, which you're following for the subscribers here. And I talk about everyday life topics. I also share themes to do with what's happened in my life and culture points too. And if you want me to write about a theme, then please feel free to message me in chat or send a message or apply to one of my newsletter editions. So, with the next chapter experiments, I wanted it to feel more like you're going on the journey with me. So, of course, I'm going to be sharing some events which have already happened. And then I'm also, oh, whoops, there's a dog chasing a deer in the background. Wow, you never know what to expect in nature, but it's representative of life because we are nature. But I was, I want to talk more about the next chapter experiments. So, oh, whoops, the dog's going that way. Wow, I hope the deer doesn't go the direction. If you see me coming off the line, I'm running away from an animal, but they tend to be nice here. Sorry, I digress. It's just that, yeah, he's with his owner now. Yeah, who was chasing a deer. Yeah, but that's what I love about doing these lives. Never know what to expect. But to continue with the next chapter experiments, I want it to be more of a personal blog in terms of sharing what's happening with me. So right now, I'm still in my 40s. I think I look okay. I'm a person. I'm not AI generated because that has been the pain I've noticed recently. A lot of social media on TikTok and Instagram, and put your hands up. Or I love to hear, feedback on this, where I've seen lots of posts of AI generated women who are saying, "Look, I'm 60. I look like I'm 30 or 25." And then what I've noticed is that in the bio, they're selling some herbal supplements. So I like to, point out to people to be aware of this, not to fall for this whole AI stuff. And this is part of the reason why I continue to do videos where it's me who you're seeing, regardless of how I'm looking. So you notice I have, oh, you probably can't notice it today, but if you look at some of my TikTok videos, you'll notice that I have a spot, a hormonal spot on my forehead. And if I wanted it to be perfect, then I try to airbrush it, but that's not being, real with all of you. So with next chapter experiments, I'm talking about where I'm in life. So I just disclose my age or my age range. I'm also single right now at the time of recording this. And the reason why I share this is because I think sometimes people feel that they're measuring themselves against other people. They're measuring, thinking that this is the place which I should have been at this stage of my life. So, yes, things, I wouldn't say that I had a plan, but I thought I had an idea in terms of how I end up, at the age which I'm in. But then on the plus side, I could talk about how I've been fortunate to travel a lot, to meet some interesting people, to go for dinner with a soap actress. It's happened to me before. And I noticed that my internet connection is a bit unstable, so I apologize. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to look back at the replay to test for quality because if it's the case whereby there were many drops in this live video, then I will do a recording. So with this mini experiment episode, I wanted to share something with you. So I'm in my 40s. I'm fortunate I got good health. I travel a lot. I've been in love before. I've been, heartbroken too as well. That sounds really dramatic when I say that, but I say that, oh wow, I've got some flies going past me. I should expect this in nature. I'm going to continue. So I wanted to share this with you so that you don't feel like you have to compete with other people because it can happen. And let's look at another side of it. So you get some people who have been married already, or maybe been married multiple times and been divorced, or people have been in toxic relationships. So I'm not saying this to compare and say, oh, look at me, things have been a breeze. It hasn't necessarily been a breeze, but the whole point is that we have this vision in terms of the grass being green on the other side. And I would use grass because I'm sitting on grass right now as an example. So I want to remind you that we all have our own paths in terms of where we go in life. We have the ups and we have the downs. We go through different chapters of our life. And the great thing is we have an opportunity each day, to wake up and think, yeah, here I am again. I can make a change. I can make a shift. I could, I could go for something which I've been thinking about. And the great thing about reaching midlife for me is that, of course, I've gone through different life experiences, and I got stronger, from them. And it's good to have these insights because then you have more confidence in terms of trying things. And that's the thing about confidence, which I mentioned in my previous video. But confidence comes from practicing, doing things, trying things, figuring out what works for you, figuring out what you like, what you don't like. And it's never too late to get started. Try something new. So, say for example, if you are watching this video and you're thinking, "Oh, I want to, go traveling," then see what you could do to make it happen. Yes, it might not happen instantly, but it's like a type experiment. So if you go to the next chapter experiments, the very first post talks about identifying things which you want to do or things that you desired in the past and maybe held back because you were scared, afraid, not have resources. I've been in that place too as well. But as I like to share, and I shared in previous video, that once there's a will, there's always a way. So I always find that once I'm really clear and I made up my mind about something, then somehow things have a way of working out. And that's something which comes from wisdom and experience. And I also wanted to remind you that I'm sharing this video, in terms of, you know, traits about myself, my situation, to inspire you to think that you're not behind, it's not too late to try something new. So tomorrow morning, it's going to be Monday. I want to wake up and think, okay, this is a new day. What can I do? And don't think about radically change your life, overnight, because, things do take time. It doesn't happen instantly, although sometimes people could give you that false impression in life online. I said, in life, but online too as well. So what I like you to do as an exercise is write down a list of things which you want to design your life. And I always say whittle it down to three and then choose one go. Choose one go which you think is practical that you could do now. So I introduced you to a concept in the other video, which is PAT, which stands for purposable, actionable, continuous, and something which you could track. So, for example, if you want to, let's think of a everyday goal. I'm not going to use walking because I always do that. I've noticed in my examples. Let's take, for example, career. So, you're thinking of changing careers. So look and see what skills do you have, because we all have transferable skills. It might be a case of upskilling, which you need to do. Go and do some research on YouTube, see people who are doing that row which you want to do, for example. If it's a business, check it out what they're doing, and then do mini tests, look at existing skills, and then you could alter it, for example. So I'll give you an example. I met this lady recently who moved to the country 2 years ago. She has a cleaning business and she wants to do something creative. And she has a really good eye in terms of finding gifts. And she was talking to me about this. And I suggested, why don't you could create one of those businesses, maybe start off testing it with your friends, where you create boxes and then you like assign like little gifts, trinkets for your friends and family. And that's like a business which you can do, something she could test, see if she could test it on 3 people. And then that's the way she gets started. So that's like one example which you can do. And it does follow the PACT theory. So PACT is make it personable. So with her, she wants to do something creative, actionable. Yes, she can source some materials. She could go on AliExpress. I think that's the term, big wholesaling place which manufactures in China. Or maybe she could use Amazon, just use an example. And then continuous, she can do this. So when she has like friends who have birthdays, got different relatives. So it's a good something she can do. She can aim for maybe once a week. And then trackable is creating the thing, yes or no. So I'm using the pack method again. So it's different from doing SMART, if you're familiar with that, in terms of the business terms. So that's what I want you to do for this mini experiment is wake up tomorrow, identify an area after whittle down a list of things you want to do, and then decide, okay, what steps can I take, and then make it packed. So what I recommend you do is to go over to my new channel. What I do is I post the link to it and with the article, and then you could read it and go through that list and have a go. And if you don't want to write, and I recommend writing this down, because there is a big difference when you write down thoughts, because in a way it's coming from you. You're not self-editing, or another idea which you can do, because I always like to come up with different solutions, different ways to do things, is in the exercise I set, if you copy and paste the 5 questions, pull it into AI. So it could be ChatGPT, you could get it free, you can use Claude, you can use Perplexity, you can use Google Gemini, and then ask it to ask you the questions. And then what you do is activate your voice and then say, okay, first question, and then talk to it, pause, let it recall it, and then it comes back to you. Because another point too as well, which some people do sometimes, and I call it the uditis, which is could, shoulda, would have, is that they could self-edit, they overthink the answer, and you get the answers, which is true, more closer to your heart if you just write it down and don't think about it too much. So that's the tip. So this is the first of one of my mini next chapter experiments where I talk about myself, a little bit about my status, how life has to go according to plan. But, on the plus side, there is a plus side. It's not all doom and gloom. Is I've had unfortunate to have different experiences like traveling, going on different adventures, meeting new people, and also doing work on myself. It doesn't mean if you're married, if you're watching this, that you can't do this. And this is why it's so important to remember that you matter, no matter your circumstance. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and that's a positive way to leave this mini next chapter experiment video, is to remember that you matter, no matter your status or your situation in life. And have a go, start with one thing, test it out. Until the next video, bye for now.